Welcome to everybody listening and on Canadian Yorker live stream. We are live and back with another live stream basketball video. So this time we're talking about basketball, guys. So welcome to everybody who are here. So I'm coming on today to recap the NBA playoffs for the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals. Um, I think in my last video I did my live stream on the New York Knicks. So that was my last live stream, but in this live stream I'm gonna be mixing it up, covering the Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals together. So in the first, I haven't really covered the Minnesota Timberwolves Thunder series. So in this live stream, we're going to be covering the first three games of the Minnesota and Thunder series, and then we're going to look at the Pacers Game 3 situation going on. So, Knicks and Pacers, sorry. So, in this article here, I have 5 articles. I posted the links to these articles in my description box of this live stream so everybody can check them out. So I have one from NBA.com that talks about the game 1 between the Thunder and the Timberwolves. So, as you know, the Thunder went up 2-0 against the Wolves. They won 2 games at home, and last night the Thunder lost to the Timberwolves. And we're gonna just kind of recap on the first 2 games, and then cover the game that happened last night. I happened to watch that game, and man, that was a complete and utter blowout that happened. I mean, it was no way for the Thunder to catch up. They just couldn't get a rhythm going. They were off. They were just kept on their feet all game. They just were not focused. As far as when I first started watching the game, they just were not focused at all. They couldn't keep themselves in the game, and they lost the game. So here from NBA.com, this article was written May 21st. It says here, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 20 of his 31 points in the second half, and the top-seeded Oklahoma City Thunder beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. They beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 114-88 on Tuesday night in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made 8 of 14 field goals in the second half after a rough start. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, quote, "I didn't particularly change my mindset, honestly. I just tried to continue to be aggressive, trust my work." Julius Randle scored 28 points for the 6th-seeded Minnesota, but just 8 in the second half. Anthony Edwards, who had been averaging 26.5 points per game in the playoffs, was held to 18 points on 5 of 13 shooting. Anthony Edwards said, "I definitely got to shoot more. I took shots, but I'll say probably just to get off the ball a little more." Anthony Edwards said, "Play without the ball. I think that would be the answer, because playing on the ball, they're just going to double and sit in the gaps all day. So I've got to watch some film and take it apart and figure it out." Open and close quote. Anthony Edwards said the Thunder packed the paint, and he expects the Timberwolves to take advantage of that tactic going forward. Game 2 is Thursday in Oklahoma City. Anthony Edwards said, quote unquote, "They bank on us not making shots. I guess because every time I go into the rim, it's like 4 people. So yeah, I guess they are just clogging the paint. They put 4 or 5 bodies in the paint. It makes you kick it out. So keep making the right play." For us to play poorly as we did offensively in the first half, I'd be down 4 or you raise a victory. At halftime, Thunder coach Mark Daigneault said the Thunder went on a 10-0 run in the third quarter to take a 66-60 lead. A short time later, Kendrick Williams, a rarely used sub this postseason, hit a mid-range jumper and a 3-pointer on consecutive possessions to put the Thunder up 71-22. Oklahoma City outscored Minnesota 38-10 in the third quarter to take a 76-66 advantage into the fourth. A spinning dunk by Holmgren in traffic put Minnesota ahead 86-75 and drew a roar from the crowd. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander threw up a prayer as he was being fouled and while falling to the floor. The ball rolled in and he made the free throw to make it 91-77 with 7 minutes remaining. His game one, Minnesota coach said, Chris said, excuse me, they won at home. Congrats to them. They played really well. That's another game in 2 days. So there we have it, guys. Game one, of course, the final score 114-88. That's it for game one. Moving on to game two, Minnesota again lost to the Thunder in game two. So it says Timberwolves Thunder 5 takeaways as OKC's defense ties up Minnesota for the 2-0 lead. Excuse me, says here Oklahoma City Thunder. The Timberwolves are slowly running out of answers, adjustments, and if this keeps up games in the Western Conference Finals, the best of 7 series is a 2-0 advantage Thunder, and unless Minnesota proves otherwise at home, the next time basketball will tip here at Paycom Center will be Game 1 of the NBA Finals. For a second straight game, Oklahoma City appeared very much the number 1 seed for a reason. Seizing control for good in a lopsided third quarter and using their defense in depth, and of course, freshly minted MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to put the Wolves in their place. Except for a few scattered spurts, the Thunder have been in control, dropping hints of this game developing into a one-sided series. Any drama or suspense, or at least a close finish, must wait until Game 3 or beyond after OKC won the first 2 games by a combined 41 points. OKC flirted with danger in the 7-game finals against the Nuggets, falling thus twice, and yet has to feel much tension here, where they're a step closer to the finals. Here are the 5 takeaways from OKC's 118-103 win, while the 2 games tipping at the Target Center in Minneapolis. Number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander reminds crowd and the Wolves who is the MVP. Excuse me. As he raised the Michael Jordan trophy high in the air before tip-off, his home fans raised their voices. Therefore, both the MVP and the noise was simultaneously heard, and loud and certifiably, and they screamed, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander sits on top of the world. Even better, the vibe continued through Game 2, just in case the Wolves were not convinced. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has dominated his series, save for the first 2 quarters of Game 1, when he uncharacteristically couldn't get any shots to fall, no matter what. 2 nights after a bullish second half Cali defended to their first win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was consistent through the follow-up, much like he did in the regular season. His presence was felt at both ends, dropping middies on one side and poking the ball loose on the other. I believe that I just want to kind of recap on this. So in this article, it goes through some of the things that happened in this game. It talks about 5 of the points that's made about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and how his teammates have contributed to helping them win Game 2. I believe I have read this article already. I think I know I put it in the comments section so you guys can check it out. But I know I've read this article before. You guys can read up on it for yourself and read it and check it out. So in the next part, in Game 3, we're just going to skip ahead here. In Game 3, in this article here from the Oklahoman, Game 3, this article is written May 25th, 2025. Says time for OKC Thunder to live up to 0-0 mantra after Game 3 no-show versus the Thunder. So in this article, The Thunder have to come up with Game 3, have to win Game 3 in order to advance going forward. However, that was not the case for them since they barely made a dent in Minnesota and they ended up losing in Minnesota. So let's continue here, reading the article here. So it says, Minneapolis, Anthony Edwards sliced through Lou Dort and Isaiah Hartenstein to beat the backpedaling Jalen Williams to the loose ball. Anthony Edwards scooped it up as Williams skidded into the Thunder's bench. Jalen Williams was still on his backside as Anthony Edwards soared for a slam. And that's how Saturday went. The normal wait on a string, fight through scenes, pesky, handsy, fearless, annoying, all hustle, never die attitude got the Thunder beat at its own game. Smacked by Minnesota, 143-101 in a must-win for the Minnesota. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, quote, "They just came out with a sense of urgency and we didn't. The obvious follow-up maybe is an unanswerable why. Why is that?" Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, quote unquote, "I'm not sure. The same kind of thing happened to the Memphis series and they blitzed us. The Thunder trailed for the Grizzlies by 29 points in Game 3 of that first round series. Then John Morant got hurt, and the Thunder stormed back and won." So Gilgeous-Alexander said, "I guess when both situations were up, going 2-0 into Game 3, we don't try going out like that. I promise you. But whatever it is, we gotta figure out if we want to reach our ultimate goal," Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said. And that's what the days in between are for, to get better. There were early signs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting called for an 8-second violation, even if it was a second violation, with no Timberwolf pressuring him in the backcourt. That Saturday night was going to be a rare Thunder no-show. OKC trailed as many as 45 points, biggest deficit it faced this season before Saturday. Regular season and playoffs were 30. The Thunder lost by 42 points. Its worst loss before Saturday was 27 points. Thunder coach Mark Daigneault said of the Wolves, "They were way better than us in every facet. You can't isolate it in one thing." Edwards, who scored a game-high 30 points, outscored the Thunder 14-6, 16-14 in the first quarter. Minnesota's lead and ballooned to 20 points after the 12 minutes. The Wolves scored 34 points in the first quarter, and that we loved the lowest scoring game. We were all taking out of the net for the majority of the game, so they got us back in and set their defense. I don't care who you are in the NBA. Against good defense, it's hard to score when they're not. Alright, so that's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's words, quote unquote. The Wolves shot 57% from the field. They were 20 of 40 from 3-point range. The Thunder shot 14% and were 12 of 14 from the deep. A continuation of their cold streak on the road. Daigneault pulled the plug for good with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. After the fourth quarter devolved into Dylan Jones versus Luka Garza Bowl. The only solace after 143-101 is 2-1. The Thunder still lead these Western Conference Finals, in which none of the 3 games have been close. A 15-point win in Game 2 is the closest anyone who has come to betting the odds. As far as cliche, the Thunder's new 0-0 mantra has become. It's applicable now as ever. It's been who we are. Like Daigneault said, we know the ebbs and flows of a playoff series, and we don't have to be on the other show. Um, so, yeah, we don't have to. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's been who we are, Mike. You know, so we know the ebbs and flows of a playoff series. We've been on the other end of games like this, and they haven't been productive of the next game. We do have to look at it and adjust the things that went awry for us tonight. But at the same time, it'll be a new game. It'll be 0-0 when Game 4 starts. So there we have it, guys. The Thunder going back to the drawing board and looking at what they obviously were not ready for Game 3, and that showed how they played and their manner of attack. They didn't really strategize on how to keep their opponents going. So there's a lot of things that are going on with the Thunder that they obviously have to keep working on. So I mean, honestly, it's kind of turning into an interesting series where the Thunder maybe make a upset here and actually beat the Timberwolves in this scenario and make them move on to the Thunder series. So I don't know. Obviously, we're going to have to see what's going to happen in Game 4. That's going to tell us everything we need to know. So I'd like to know what's going to happen going forward in that manner. So let's just kind of switch over and look at the Eastern Conference Finals. So looking at the Eastern Conference Finals real quick. So there are two articles here I have from the Eastern Conference Finals. This one is on the Game 2 with the Pacers and the Knicks. So it says here, Pacers versus Knicks score recap. Pascal Siakam 39 to lead Indiana to a 114-109 win, 2-0 series lead over New York. So it says here, and this article is for May 23rd, 2025. Pascal Siakam scored 39 points, a career high, playoff high, leading the Indiana Pacers to score a 114-109 win over the New York Knicks in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals on Friday night at Madison Square Garden. It is the first time in franchise history that the Knicks have lost the first two games in the playoff series at home. Siakam's scoring outburst was vital for Indiana, which got 14 points from Tyrese Haliburton and 16 from Miles Turner. Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Naismith added 12 points each. T.J. McConnell contributed 10. The Pacers knew it was the fourth quarter, so the Pacers broke. Where am I? Oh yeah, T.J. McConnell contributed 10. The Pacers broke an 83-83 tie early in the fourth quarter with an 11-2 run capped by a three-pointer from Pascal Siakam. New York cut the deficit to 3 points at three different times, but Indiana changed on percent. Indiana answered this challenge, notably on threes by Turner and Haliburton, who finally hit big shots late after being quiet throughout most of the game. The Knicks cut Indiana's lead to 110-109 with 114 seconds remaining in regulation on a layup by Josh Hart, but Jalen Brunson fouled Aaron Naismith on the ensuing inbounds, and the 93% free throw shooter converted both attempts. Jalen Brunson then missed a three-point try, and Turner hit two more free throws after being fouled. We don't care about who scores. We just want to win, Siakam said inbound. Yep. So we don't care about the scores. We just want to win, Siakam told TNT after the game. Jalen Brunson scored 36 points with 11 assists for New York, missed his final two three-pointers. Anthony Edwards and Mikal Bridges each added 20 points, but Towns, who had finished the game minus 20 points. Sat for most of the fourth quarter. We got in a hole, and the group that was in here gave us a chance. Knicks said. So Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau told reporters after the game about Towns benching. Pascal Siakam started his barrage early. The Pacers demonstrated the depth of their lineup early on, with Pascal Siakam scoring their first 11 points. Aaron Nesmith and Aaron Nemhard scored Indiana's 8, pushing the Pacers to 19-9 run midway through the first quarter. However, New York then went on a 10-0 run to tie the game, fueled by 3-pointers from Miles McBride and Brunson. At one point, perhaps Indiana decided. So perhaps at one point, Indiana needed a basket from Halliburton to get early, but instead Siakam called. So I'm losing track of my thoughts. I apologize, guys. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm trying to keep up with the words. So it says, at one point, perhaps Indiana needed a basket from Halliburton to get steady, but instead Siakam added another 5 points. The Knicks ended up the quarter with 26-24 lead on a dunk by OG Anunoby and a tip-in from Mitchell Robinson. Indiana trailed 52-49 at halftime, with Halliburton scoring only 2 points on 1 of 7 shooting with 5 assists. Jalen Brunson provided his expected production with 17 points, and Pascal Siakam scored 23 points in the opening 24 minutes against the bigger lineup with Towns and Robinson. However, going bigger gave the Knicks a 12-14 rebounding advantage edge, preventing Indiana from running and playing at a faster pace. Tyrese Halliburton said, quote, "When you play such a terrible half like that, you're probably going to when you play like a terrible first half like that, you're probably only down 3. I think that gives you a lot of confidence," Tyrese Halliburton said after the game. The Knicks' momentum didn't hold in the first and second half, as the Pacers picked up the tempo and posted their 2 best scoring quarters of the game. The Pacers now return to the comfort of their home crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. You cannot assume going home is going to be easier, Pacers head coach said told reporters after the game. So, Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals is scheduled for Sunday at 8 p.m. So today, Sunday the 25th, Game 3 for the Pacers-Knicks game is going to be happening at 8 p.m. today. So keep an eye out for that, guys. So there it is for Game 2. And shockingly, again, the Knicks lost Game 2 to the Indiana Pacers, and now they have to go to Indiana and beat the Pacers in Indiana. So are they going to be able to get the job done? We don't know. So there's a last thing I'm going to be covering here for you. So here's an analysis of Game 3. According to the analytics, it's saying it's leaning more towards the Knicks to win Game 3. So in this article that's written today, Sunday, May 25th, 2025. In this article, this article covers the clear advantage for the Knicks to win Game 3 and actually tie this and actually get a win against the Pacers at home. So let's see here. Knicks can win Game 3 versus Pacers. The New York Knicks have a chance to get closer to the Indiana Pacers in Game 3. So it says here, and this article is from SportsIllustrated.com. The New York Knicks are down 2-0 to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they are far from out. If the Knicks have taught us anything this season, they aren't going to go away quietly. ESPN analyst Zach Cram believes the Knicks have a chance to turn the series around with a winning Game 3 against the Pacers. So Zach Cram says, quote, "One through line is that neither team can stop the other, which isn't a surprise since both boasted top 10 offenses, but only middling defenses in the regular season. That trend has carried over to the conference finals, where Indiana and New York have offensive ratings higher than 120. The most encouraging sign for the Knicks as they contemplate a comeback is that the Pacers still haven't exhibited any ability to shut down Jalen Brunson, who has had 79 points on 28 for 52 shooting through the first 2 games on 54 shooting. So Jalen Brunson's shooting 54% since the first 2 games, and that's what the Pacers have not done. Zach Cram also says, quote, "If Brunson can maintain that efficiency while the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau figure out any semblance of a strategy to slow the Pacers' high-octane attack, then New York still has a chance to reach the finals. But the odds aren't in their favor after a disappointing set of games at the Garden. Jalen Brunson has been tremendous on offense during the series, but the defense hasn't been able to do its job. The Pacers have torched the Knicks in the first 2 games, and that will be an issue for New York. Cannot find a way to contain them. Luckily for the Knicks, the offense is there, and that's half the battle. The Pacers have not also done a great job defending, but they managed to do enough to snag a Game 2 win. The Knicks are down 2-0, but it could be worse, and for that they are far from out of the Eastern Conference Finals. So there you have it, guys. This article here, SportsIllustrated.com, covering the Knicks, just released today, Sunday, March 25th. So, you can check it out, check out these articles, and read up on it for yourself. I gotta say, may the best team win. Don't know who that team will be. This is just a best of 7 series. I'm just going for both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference Finals. It's best of 7. So I'm gonna say both these series are gonna go to Game 7s because both these teams are good, and I mean, clearly the Thunder are favored to win the NBA Finals, and the Knicks are favored to get to the NBA Finals. But it may look like they have to put their work in to actually win the series against their current opponents right now, and that's all that has to be said and done in order for them to get to the finals first. So let's see how they do going forward for the Eastern Conference. Let's see how they do going forward. Let's see the next one, Game 3, and see what will happen with that going forward. So same for the Thunder. Hopefully, maybe the Thunder will be able to overcome this adversity and actually beat the Wolves, and so they can move on to the finals. So let's see what's going to happen going there, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. This is it for today. During this week, I'm going to say it's going to be a little busy for me because I got to deal with work, but I'm definitely going to be working to try to make sure I can still bring you guys live streams despite my busy schedule. So hopefully we'll be able to work. I'll be able to work something out, and I will see you guys in the next live stream. So enjoy the wonderful day today, and definitely have a good week. See you later.